In this video, we're going to learn how to create a project that is billed by phase. So we're going to go over here and we're going to create a new work item, and this will be our project. Okay, new project. We'll just call it build by phase. And then we're going to change this work item type to project. Remember, these are your custom work item types, so the ones that you see will likely be different. So we're going to select project. And then we're going to say it's billable, but we're not going to put in any budgets here. And this will make sense a little bit later. So we'll go ahead and we'll do save and view so that we can save it and then navigate to the newly created project. And then we're going to go and we're going to create the first phase. So we're going to say create a sub work item. And we're going to call this phase 1. We're not going to be very creative with the names. And we'll just save it in this case. Now, if we go to the sub work items tab, you'll notice that we have that newly created work item right there, but let's create a couple more. Let's just maybe have 3 phases. Okay, so we've got the 3 phases, and then what we're going to do is we are going to edit each of these. We're going to go to accounting, we're going to change it to billable, and then we're going to make it fixed fee. The budgets can be set up in a variety of ways, and we have videos that demonstrate the different capabilities, but we're going to keep it very simple for this video. We're just going to set a fixed labor budget of $1,000. And we'll do the same for the other 2 phases. So let's go ahead over here, accounting, billable, fixed fee, $1,000. And then finally for the third one, accounting, billable, fixed fee, $1,000. Okay, so once we've got that in place, what we also need to do, which I didn't do when creating the project, and this is actually really important, is, let's edit this. When you create an invoice, there needs to be an account that you're invoicing. Okay, if you don't put an account, then there's, it's basically, the question is like, who are you invoicing? So we have to at least have an account, and let's put a contact in there as well. And we'll do save. Now, because I set it up here, that change will propagate down to the sub work items. So let's refresh that, and there you can see it pulled in. Basically, it inherited the account and contact for its parent, which in this case is the project. Okay. Now, one other thing to note is I've just created 3 phases. These phases likely will have tasks inside of them, and we'll just create one to demonstrate. So we'll do create a child, and then we'll just call it, like task 1. Just going to keep it simple. Now the tasks are not going to be billable. Okay. So if we expand it out there, you can see here we've got, it's non-billable by default. We're going to leave it that way. It doesn't need to be billable because these are fixed fee phases. Now, if we go over here and say create invoice, notice how nothing comes in. Okay. And the reason for that is the phases are still, they're basically not completed. Okay, they're in the backlog. Now you can go over here and you can change this. So let's say we know that there should be some work items in there. The default filter is to pull in only completed. So we could change that if we want, but the easiest way to do it is to say, okay, phase 1 is now completed, and we're going to select a completed phase. And again, these are your custom phases, so what you see here may be different, but the check mark indicates it's a completed phase if the name isn't obvious. So we'll click there, and the tasks that I put inside the phase are not completed, so we have the option here to automatically mark those as complete. And if we expand this down, we can see, sure enough, in fact there was only one, so that one's now done. So that at this point, if we go and we say create an invoice, it will pull in that completed fixed fee work item. Okay, so here we've got the fixed fee item, $1,000, and we can go ahead and we can create the invoice for it. You could invoice as a percentage. Sometimes you might invoice 50% of a project ahead of time, but in this case we're just invoicing that one phase. So let's just save that. Oh yeah, we have to give it a subject. So new client invoice, and we could set other information here if we need to. Let's go ahead and save that now. So the invoice has been created, and if we go to the accounting section, and we go to invoices, we can see here that we have this new invoice. It initially is set to being a draft. Okay, so we've got $1,000 there. On the summary tab, if we scroll down, we can see here nothing is showing up, and here's why. We have the budgets which we can pull in right here. So we're saying pull the roll up in, and when you select the budgets, it will also include the invoices that were set. So roll up, just to be clear, if you're not familiar with the concept, if you have child work items, roll up will allow you to see how those are impacting different numbers. In this case, the budgets or the invoices. Okay, and then here we have self. So we're looking at both. We could turn this off. It's going to give us the same numbers because there are no budgets set to this work item, to the self, which is the project work item. But it's okay to leave that turned on. So we can see, because now we have the roll up, that we have $3,000 because we have 3 phases at $1,000 each. And they were all set. The labor budget is where those budgets were set. We could have put expense or service budgets, but we didn't. And then we can see here that we have uninvoiced, unpaid. Now, the reason it's saying uninvoiced is because the invoice is currently set as a draft. So we could, of course, change that, and then that will update the status over here. So anyway, that's basically it. Hopefully that was helpful. In summary, you create your project. The project itself is billable. Now, this is technically optional, but we recommend setting it to billable so that when you go and, let's say, run a report to show all billable projects, this one will get pulled in. But the project itself, you're not setting your budgets at the project level. You're setting them for each phase. Okay, so that way you can invoice each of these 3 phases independently. You can go over here and mark this one is done, and then we'll just show you what that looks like. So now that this one is done, and we go to create an invoice, did the same thing. It pulled in $1,000, but this time it was that second phase. Okay, so we'll just kind of close that. But anyway, that's how you can create projects that are billed by phase.